Businesses making less than $10 million per year cannot afford to make this mistake. And it's a problem that limited me and my ability to sell my company. But when I fixed it, I was able to sell it for $46.2 million. And there are 4 steps to solving this problem to avoid this calamity and lots of blood and death. And it all starts with number 1, key man risk. A single person that is vital to the operations of the business. And if they were gone, the business would decrease materially in the amount of money that it makes or disappear altogether. And so think about it like this. You've got these functions that occur in the business on a regular basis, and there may be multiple people that can do these functions. And so the opposite of key man risk is redundancy, meaning if one of these people disappear, we still have a flow for, let's say, dollars to go across this bridge. It can still kind of make its way through. But all of a sudden, if you've got one here, and it doesn't matter how many different redundancies you have in the rest of the system, if this goes away, there is no way else for the dollars or the customers to move across and hopefully into your pocket. That's my little pocket for you. Why this matters is that if you have key man risk, you don't have an asset, you have a high paying job. And I don't say that to insult you, I say that so that you can be aware of it, so that you can actually fix it. And to be clear, if you are fine just working and not necessarily owning an asset, that's great. There's nothing wrong with trading time for money. Big fan. And so I'll give you an example. When I had Gym Launch, I was kind of the innovator of the product and the service. And so I came up with the solutions for the gyms. And so for an acquirer or a private equity firm who wants to buy this business, or whoever else you might want to sell a business to, having one person, especially if it's the person who's going to leave when the business is sold, is a huge, massive red flag for them, because they're like, wait, we're buying this production, but it's with this key cog in the machine, and you want to have us buy this thing and remove the cog. Now, in a situation where you raise money, for example, it's not as much of an issue because those people, those pieces, those cogs are still in the machine. If you wanted to sell a company and you own the company and you leave and all the people who are still key man remain within the business, then what they're going to do is try and incentivize those people to stay, but it still makes the company sellable. So this just counts double if it's the owner or somebody who's going to leave as a result of a transaction is the key man risk in any of the functions of the business. So I was key man in the delivery. And so I did a couple things to solve the problem. So number 1 is that I created a department called the R&D department. And so the way it worked was simple. I thought about the process that I would go through when I wanted to innovate the product. So I'd say, okay, what can we do for our gym owners that will help them generate more leads, make more sales, whatever the issue was. And so the first thing that I did was that I would say, okay, I have a way of identifying problems. And so I would ask the customers, and the nice thing is if you listen to your customers, they will shout at you and they will tell you exactly what their problems are. And so I'd say, okay, number 1 is that I had these problems. Now I have to solve those problems. And so I'd have them rank the problems. They say, okay, this month, lead generation is the biggest issue. They want more leads. And I'd say, all right. Now, the next thing that I would do is I would deploy resources. So this would be time and money that ideally my customers couldn't deploy, but I could fractionalize that cost between all of my customers to create a much bigger individual investment that any one of them could afford. And so let's say they pay $3,000 or $4,000 a month. I would spend $50,000 a month on this test. And so I'd say, okay, go hire a bunch of models, go out to a really good gym, film some great ads, then test those ads. So number 3, I would test the ads in representative markets. So I'd have 20 markets or so that would represent different demographics. So Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, poor markets, rich markets, large markets, small markets, with good operators, with poor operators, with mediocre operators. That way I had a true sampling rather than just saying, I'm just going to send this to my favorite customers, because that's not going to work. And so we test it. And then what I would do is hand off winners. And so what that meant was I would say, okay, these ads of the 30 that we ran, and we spent $50,000 on this whole thing, these 2 or 3 were the ones that generated the highest returns. And then I would give all of those to the gyms in our distribution base so that they could run those ads. They just wanted the inputs to feed the system, and those inputs were required on a regular basis. In order for me to hand this off to someone, I said, this is fundamentally the way I do it. I look at the problems that they have. In this instance, it was lead generation. I would dedicate time and money to solving this problem in a way that they couldn't do it, so that I could could create a better solution that they could do it on their own. I would test to validate that the solution that I had was superior, and then we roll it out. And I followed this process for my R&D so that I could replicate the person with